that dream last night. The one where all my family and friends, the overdoses and the dead ants too, came to my luxury condo and we ordered an appetizer from every restaurant. I dreamt of crisp brown paper bags full of hot food and so much to pass around we threw away whole containers. Beers and joints, and in the bathroom, a little Coke, and in the living room, my cousin's kids jumping and dancing. A wholesome rager. Every word said to me was a compliment, and my tattoos never faded. I wasn't 50, and never would be. The neighbor's alarm woke me through the tissue sheets of drywall separating our apartments. My right arm ached from the green bruise where the needle went in 7 days ago. I had made it a week. I wanted it again, but I didn't want it again. I didn't have the money anyway. I was already late to my shift, so I wore yesterday's clothes. Long sleeves were required at the restaurant. Not for anyone else, because the manager said my ink was distasteful. She hadn't even seen my legs, which was where it got nasty. There was a snake coil of turd on the back of my shin and a bouquet of pussies that split when I parted my knees. Out of my asshole, stick and poke cockroaches crawled down my thighs. Hell, on my arms it was just devils and titties and pot leaves. Hardly anything to make a huff about, besides maybe the track marks. "Where the heck were you?" she hissed right when I opened the door. "Sleeping it off. Think I got Mickey'd," I laughed, but she didn't think that was funny. "Your lucky Steph is covering your tables. She's pissed." She couldn't even look me in the eye. "Don't tell her I said that." I put on my apron in the back, and Steph was filling a tray of Bloody Marys with the broad side of the pitcher. "Dummy said you were pissed at me," I told the horse-faced girl. "What? No, I'm not. I would never. It's just been busy, and I closed last night, and this table is yelling at me, and..." "Jesus Christ, tell me if you're mad. No one here is honest about a fucking thing." I ripped the tray of drinks out of her hands. "These are my tables. Get your own." She was speechless. "Ha! Toss your balls around, and you can rule any place you want. As long as I was awake, and the itch wasn't too bad, I was a goddamn queen." I spotted the table giving Steph trouble right off. Bunch of rich twats by the window, all in new clothes, revealing toned tummies and jewelry on their fingers and beads across their tits. Not a day over 24, and I hated them as much as I wished I was them. My arm started itching. I didn't wait for them to stop talking. "Sup, ladies," I grinned. "I ain't know who got what, but unless your brains are fake too, I bet you can figure it out." And I splashed down all 4 drinks. 3 of the twats turned salty, but the 4th just stared. Dyed black hair on her with those high bangs like a slipped-back wig, and those green stoned eyes that didn't leave mine. "What did you say?" I had been fired 4 times this year already. You don't live a life like mine and care about what's in anyone else's head but your own. I said what I said. Now who needs salad? Bet this oinker right here. I said to the only one not flashing her gut under a crop top. The moment her cheeks turned red, green eyes bare all her perfect teeth and hawed loud. "Oh my God," she snorted. "You're a fucking riot. Shameless. What's your name?" "Joe." "Joe, tell me, where have you been all my life?" I couldn't remember the last time someone said something nice to me. "Right here," I laughed. "Or maybe in the park if it's dark out. Right, what the rest of you want?" The girls stayed at that table for the next 4 hours. Whole time they just kept downing drinks, and all of them got drunk except the one with the green eyes. She kept that even gaze like a queen, like me. And she kept peppering on the nice, too. When I brought out the mimosas and she saw a bit of my tattoos, she made me roll up my sleeves. "These are amazing. Little masterpieces," she said, stroking the tip of the devil's dick on my forearm. She turned my arm over, and the ancient scars in my veins stared at her with many eyes. She found the fresh bruise and restrained a smile. When I returned with the next round, the girl with the gut had her phone out, snapping pictures of the drinks and each other. They gathered up for a selfie, and Green Eyes waved me in. "Get in here, Joe." I smirked, set down the drinks, jumped in, and raised 2 middle fingers. "Everyone say drunk," I cackled. The fake aperture snapped, light flashing. That's when Green Eyes said it. "You should join us tonight." "Fuck off." Fuck you, you're coming with us. We need you. You can't say no. She could butt heads if she wanted to. And she did it so dry, too. Not even a crack of smile. All right. I left my shift early. I could pull shit like that. None of these other girls would say a word. I couldn't believe I was 50, but at the same time, everyone else had never felt younger. They were infants. Before she left, Green Eyes made me give her my address. Didn't say why. 4 hours later, when a goddamn car picked me up, I about shit myself. Driver didn't talk, just like a real chauffeur. Guy played gospel music the whole way down, all organ nursery rhymes. 35 minutes later, a half-assed praise to God spilled out the door as I stepped in front of an ivy-steeped mansion. The lawn was manicured and the brick exterior lit up with colored lights like it was a monument to a dead old man. I pressed the buzzer. Next thing, the door opened and a frail woman in her 70s opened the door in a genuine maid outfit. "You're shitting me," I said, and her tight mouth refused to break its line. "God's sake, she make you wear special underwear too?" The woman guided me down the hall in tight little steps, like moving her legs too far would crack her pelvis. Laughs poured from the far room, and the music boomed. I recognized 2 voices of the brunch gang, but there were a dozen others holding an incoherent tangle of conversation, all screams and howls. I smelled pot. Amateurs. They don't scare me, I thought. I jumped out and clapped my hands. "Bet y'all were wondering when the party'd start." 16 strangers greeted me like a bride at a reception, laughing as though I was their best fucking friend. They were all infants. Hell, some of them could be preemies. At a nook guarded above by a mountain-lined severed head, the hip girl with the high green eyes nodded her head. "Someone get this queen a blunt and a shot." I mixed and mingled, made my way around 5 constellations in different corners of the party. They were all women, plus a gay or 2, all catty and familiar. No one actually spoke to me. When I walked up, they cheered. When I cracked a joke, they laughed. When I asked a question, they kept laughing. I flexed my legs so the cockroaches skittered on my thighs. Sure, someone would comment, but no one did. Kids get shy around grown-ups. When Green Eyes gave me a nod, I thanked Christ. I just wanted someone to talk to. "So glad you came. We've got big plans." "Hell fucking yeah, what's up? Pin the dick on the pony?" She grinned, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Something like that." She picked up a champagne flute and tapped on it with a ring on her thumb. Everything went quiet. "Now that everyone is here," she beamed at me, "let's get started, 'kay?" From unseen corridors, 2 more servants in butler black walked the perimeter of the massive den. One closed every curtain so the outside disappeared, and the other carried a box among the 16 strangers. From within, everyone removed what looked like black sacks. I cracked up. "If this is an orgy, you got the wrong broad," I said, slapping my stomach. "I'd have just ripped her bits apart." Nobody laughed. They opened up the ends of the sacks and stretched them over their heads. They weren't sacks at all, but nylon masks printed with pale skin tones and gray. A gay near me pulled his into position so the eye holes lined up right, and I saw what was printed staring at me. It was my own face, but with the eyes cut out so the stranger's black pupils gleamed within. What the fuck? Now all the masks were on proper, and my face was stretched over all of their tight skulls, distorting that dumbass grin I made for the picture in the restaurant. I forced a chuckle, hoping someone would join so I could know it was a joke. They didn't. "Very funny," I said. My face was all around on every side. They had circled me. Only Green Eyes didn't put a mask on, just smacked a ring on her glass so all of my faces around the room turned in attention. I tried to push my way out of the circle, but the strangers knit together, shoving me back. "Come on," I reasoned. "I thought you all—" I couldn't think. "Y'all, this is fucking creepy." One of the servants broke through the group and presented a glossy oak box to Green Eyes. Fuck, I didn't even know her name. Green Eyes cracked the lid open. I didn't mean to gasp, didn't mean to back away. I spoke half-formed thoughts with a clumsy tongue. Whoa, I couldn't. "Go ahead, take it." Stacks of cash with higher numbers than I could normally count lined the velvet hollow of the chest. Enough to live on, to give out, to do whatever I wanted. I reached a hand forward and felt just a hair of the cold green bills before the servant slammed the lid. "Hey!" I shouted. It will be yours, don't worry, Green Eyes said, turning her back on me. She spoke to the crowd. You just have to put on a little show. Everyone laughed at that. It was a big game. I laughed with them, or forced myself to anyhow. I could roll with just about anything. All right, so what I gotta do? Green Eyes didn't say a word, but tapped her glass again. Now 3 servants appeared, each holding a serving platter with a silver dome and a plate big enough for John the Baptist's head. They lined up in a row, the man nearest with his hand on the lid, ready to unveil. I could feel all the eyes behind my printed faces smirking, little snickers and whispers. I approached the man and the platter, and he lifted his hand. On the gleaming serving tray was a bowl of squirming maggots. Holy shit, I laughed, hard but alone. I thought y'all were lame for a sec. Y'all are fucked up. No one said a word, didn't join my laughs. So what now? You want the money? Yeah? Prove it. I shook my head. This is some Fear Factor shit. No one made a peep. Y'all too young for that, I guess. God shit, well, all right. I reached and took up the bowl in one hand. Y'all underestimate me. I grinned, then down the whole load. I chewed with my mouth open and lips smacking, giving 'em all a big show as the wriggling babies made death spasms between my molars. I opened my mouth and said, ah, and everyone clapped like a fucking golf course. Just like royalty, Green Eyes said. The servant left with his empty tray, and another approached, ready to reveal. Ha-ha, round 2, gonna lose that money real quick, I said, and swirled a finger in the air so that fellow would open it up. What the fuck could follow maggots? His hand raised, revealing a brandy snifter full of tiny rocks and dirt. Rocks? I gotta eat rocks? No one said anything. Y'all never saw the show. It's supposed to get grosser. That's why it's fun. Not a word, but a few of my faces giggled at me. All right. I picked up a few, put them in my mouth, and tossed them back like Advil. Stuck out my tongue with an ah again for show, and started waving the next guy over. He didn't move. All of it, Green Eyes said. I must have gone pale at that, 'cause everyone cracked up hard. That ain't funny, I said to myself, then louder so everyone could hear. That ain't funny! I stepped away, but all of my faces blocked the path. I pushed one, and though she tripped back, 5 others replaced her, shoving me to the ground. I don't have to do this, you know, I shouted. I picked myself up and went back to the platter. So fucking stupid. It took me 20 minutes, but, a few rocks at a time, I swallowed them all. The dirt was hardest. It stuck in my throat and my body wanted it out. When the last bit went down, I stuck up my tongue and screamed, You see that? They were all clapping, bored. That's 'cause I'm a fucking queen! Before the claps were done, the 3rd servant approached with the final platter and lifted the lid. I itched deep down inside, then about fainted. There was a lighter, a spoon, a syringe, and a clear dime bag bulging with H. I went limp. I tried to turn away. Everyone laughed at me. Look at her face, a man said in a chirp, and Green Eyes led them in new rounds of laughter. I met the edge of the circle, and again was shoved back to the center. Every direction I turned, flat palms met me, returning me to the platter. I looked Green Eyes head on. I need to leave, I whispered. No, you don't. I need to leave. Your eyes say different. It's true. I kept looking back to the bag and the needle. Perhaps there was something like hunger in my pupils. I quit. A long time ago. Joe, don't lie to me. I saw your bruise. It was a mistake. I gave it up. She said nothing. The itch got worse. All I could imagine was the pinch of pain, the warmth starting in my gut and spreading, the release and absolution. I wanted it, and I didn't want it. How much money is it? You saw. Tell me how much money, I shouted. My mouth was dripping, and I fought to keep my breath inside me. Green Eyes just smiled. I paced in 2 circles before I returned to the platter. My hand hesitated, but the moment it touched the spoon, it was all in motion and I had no say. I poured out half the baggie into the spoon and lit the lighter. The powder turned to bubbling gelatin, then clear liquid in the spoon, and I poked the undissolved bits with the needle. Supposed to have some cotton, I muttered as I tapped a vein to prominence. Gonna hurt this way. I poked in, and already it felt like it was inside me, warming me inside out. I milked a little blood into the syringe, then pushed the plunger down. It was like lights turning on inside my head. a warm wave washing through me, dissolving the wish I would never do it again.
I was 6 years,
I slurred with my eyes closed.
6 years clean. It was an accident. An old friend came by. I wouldn't.
The money returned to mind, and I stretched out a palm. No bills were placed, and no claps came from the masked witnesses. Instead, Green Eyes placed the baggie in my palm. All of it, she said. I dropped the bag to the ground. I was shaken.
It's too much.
Green Eyes snapped her fingers, and 2 servants approached and gathered up the spoon and other implements that prepared the hit for me. Why? I asked as they wrapped my arm again, too weak to fight. Why me? Because you're shameless, Joe, Green Eyes said steely. The needle hit the vein, and this time I felt ice. It felt like I was drowning, each breath harder to force to surface.
It's too much,
I said, and everyone clapped polite. The servant returned with the chest and upended it over me. Spittle foamed from my mouth as the green bills smacked all around me, burying me there on the floor. Too much, I said, but my words didn't mean anything no more. The light pinholed in my eyes. I'm a queen, I said, and then I was gone. The crowd clapped harder, some hooted, and everyone ripped their masks off, like it was an ordeal wearing them so long.
I was hot. Were you hot?
Said one woman to another as my body was rolled into the corner. That was fun, but it wasn't funny like last time, complained a petite man as the servants opened the curtains. The music started up again.
So, where are we getting brunch tomorrow?
The